r/AskReddit by Reddify. What is something that 90% of people don't seem to understand? Fixing the root cause of something instead of punishing the end result. Like when the record companies started suing music fans for downloading instead of publishing their own music on a website for us to buy. This is slowly happening with TV/film streaming. It used to be that if you wanted to watch something, your choice was piracy or not watch it. These days it'll be on Sky Store or Amazon for a price that is okay. And it might also be on Netflix, which you've already paid for. But the point is that the people who said it's about availability and convenience, not price, were basically 98% right. Yeah, when torrents became a thing, I was convinced I'd never buy another music album in my life. Little did I know I'd end up buying all the albums when I got a Spotify subscription last year. It helps that it's so much more convenient. The thing is, services like Spotify, Pandora, and Netflix are cheap, easy to use, convenient, and have a broad selection. That's why they are beating out piracy. There's still abandonware and things that can't be gotten easily, which people will pirate. But having accessible services has curbed a lot of the media pirating issues. When someone asks you for a source, they aren't calling you a liar. They want to know how you know what you know. Taking everything at everyone's word gets us into trouble. Trust, but verify. Pancakes got their namesake from the great Pancacius, who vanquished the giant flying discs of terror by stacking them vertically and dousing them in maple syrup to immobilize them. And all these years I thought it was because they were cakes made in a pan. What a fool I was. Left square bracket question mark right square bracket left square bracket question mark right square bracket left square bracket question mark right square bracket. Hey everyone, look at the loser. But how can you see him from way up there? Yelling at someone who is trying to help you doesn't make them more helpful. Not in relation to helping someone. But one of my dad's friends is a character. He always finds himself in hilarious situations. He was driving somewhere. His car was stopped at a red light. The light turned green. His car cut out and he couldn't get it to start again. He spent a few minutes trying to get it to start. It wasn't going anywhere. Meanwhile, the guy in the car behind him started beeping at him. So as he's trying to get his car going again, he has this constant beeping behind him. After a few minutes he walked over to the guy who was beeping and said, "Let's swap places, will we? You try and get my car started. I'll sit here and honk at you." Did it work? Some say he's honking to this day. Standing closer to me in the checkout line at any store won't make our purchase go any faster. I had a neck breather behind me in Primark today. She bumped me several times in the butt with her purse. The whole time, she complained how slow things were. After about 10 minutes in line, karma smacked her in the face. She was in the wrong line for returns. Edit. Primark has stores in the States. They seem to be a bit nicer than their Euro counterparts. Should have laughed at her like, "Drax, you must be so entitled, mom embarrassed." Ha 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 ha. Drax is my role model for social interactions. Rocket is my spirit animal for conflict resolution. Traffic works best as a team sport. Aggressive/unpredictable/selfish driving causes people to have to brake at unexpected times, which causes more slowdowns and increases everyone's commute time. Zip emerge, motherfuckers. So many people don't get this. It's law in most places, but cops don't enforce it, and driver's ed doesn't teach it. Plus, not doing it just increases the length of a traffic jam. I think they do get it. They're just assholes who don't care. I'm a medical career, so I drive all day in the city. The amount of people who blatantly disregard posted signs to not turn/park/use carpool lane/bus lane/yield/etc. has eroded all empathy from me. So many are selfish/inconsiderate to the point they are willing to inconvenience everyone just for a chance to shorten their commute. But what's worse is how there's really no recourse. You can honk and scream, but they obviously don't care. Hitting them with your car will just label you as the aggressor and cost you repairs, while they lose nothing. People get angry with police strictly watching traffic laws, as most will see it as useless police work. We promote the system that rewards assholes on the road. My problem with traffic laws is that I'd rarely see anyone be pulled over for breaking them when there's more people on the road. I've only ever been pulled over at night in the 5 years I've had my license. Usually for something stupid like going 5 over the speed limit, or recently accelerating too fast with no one else on the road. Even though I didn't go over the speed limit, I think they should focus on people actually disrupting the flow of traffic and being a general douche, not the people who are not a danger or disruptive to anyone else on the road. Situational awareness: being conscious of more than just you and your little world. Knowing what's going on around you could save your life, people. Hey, man. It's their world. I'm just living in it. You're all just NPCs to me. If I have headphones in, I really don't want to talk to you. My goodness. This, especially on a plane. Unrelated. But I sat next to a Catalan stripper on an 8-hour flight. Edit. One of my top rated comments is about sitting next to a Mediterranean stripper. Thanks, Reddit. Edit 2. First gold. Thank you. Kind stranger. Unrelated. But I once had sex with Earth the Kit in an airplane bathroom. Sounds like you are streets ahead. Damn it. Pierce. You have a lot of ancestors. And your genetic makeup is more than just your last name and your grandparents' last names. It's not important information for people to understand. But it is pretty cool to think about. Parents. 2. Grandparents. 4. Great-grandparents. 8. Second great-grandparents. 16. Sixth great-grandparents. 256. 10th great-grandparents. 4096. Edit. Also this means you have a metric duck ton of cousins. Edit 2. Yes, I understand that inbreeding exists, and people ducking cousins happened a lot. I also know what pedigree collapse is. Did I mention I'm a genealogist? No, I didn't. Sorry, but I'm mentioning it now. This is just an illustration using the simple math to show a representation of how many grandparents you have per each generational jump. You can stop exploding my inbox with this. Also, I use the term metric duck ton because it's my favorite unit of measurement, although it probably works better for weight. So how many cousins would you say exactly? Dozens? I mean, at least. I would hazard a guess of at least 13. Plurals don't need a ducking apostrophe. I'm looking at you. Reddit. Edit. Obligatory wholly hid my first gold. Wild. Thank you. Which plurals do these mistakes happen to in the most instances? Edit. Damn. My first gold is from being a sarcastic dick. Well, guess that suits me. Thank you. Stranger. Criticism does not equal an insult. For some people it's even worse, because it creates a conflict inside their heads. They have admit they are wrong to themselves and thus, to you. Which is a sign of weakness. Can't let that happen, so they will lash out at you and double down on their viewpoint. Even if they didn't want to, a real insult would be far less problematic. Criticism creates a mental conflict, but not always that kind. Imagine if you wrote a final essay for your literature class, really did your best on it, turned it in, and the teacher gave it 100%. Elated. You take it home to show it off to your dad. Your dad says you got a D. You really should have tried harder. You think WTF. You squint at the paper and you're pretty damn sure it says 100%. A+. Good work. But your dad says no. It clearly says 63%. D. Disappointing. Then you start to realize you're living in some kind of warped reality where your dad sees something on the paper completely different than what you see. And you start wondering if you even know what's real anymore. This is what it feels like to get a criticism. It casts into doubt your own definition of good, which is probably the basis of your entire creative process. It's not even an issue of admitting weakness. Admitting weakness is easy. What's not easy is having your instincts cast into doubt and not knowing whether to trust yourself anymore. Do I trust this critic? Do I trust myself? Some combination of the two? Do I stand by my decisions or not? Do I make changes even though I don't understand how they will help? Will the changes completely undermine the artistic vision I wanted for this? Will it defeat the whole point I was going for? I can't feel the emotional reasoning behind making changes. So how will I know if my change is for the better or worse? Is the critic just not the right audience for this? Is the critic biased? Is the critic just having a bad day? Should I ignore them altogether? And just keep doing this for the people who like it? Are my fans wrong and simpler minded? Am I even doing anything of significance? Should I give up here? These are all questions which artists ask themselves when they receive criticism. They are tricky, ambiguous questions that don't always have a correct answer. Many newcomers don't even know how to approach these questions. So criticism can often feel like a personal attack, even if both sides mean well. That's not to say that criticism itself is bad. But if you get a better idea of what a criticism is doing psychologically to the receiver, you might find yourself offering more effective, well-received advice. What's not easy is having your instincts cast into doubt. The thought that many people don't doubt their instincts is terrifying. I guess I never thought about this much, having been told by medical professionals that I've mental illness, and thus my own mind being fallible is just a given the same way gravity is. Though I work at one specific store as an associate, it cannot be expected of me that I know every sale in the store. I know the inventory of every other nearby location of this store. I'm an automaton/robot, and that I shouldn't be allowed to have a drink of water from a personal water bottle, because God forbid that a retail slave show some form of humanity and need access to water. A customer at my store complained about that last one today. They complained that I drank water in front of them while wearing my uniform. How dare I? Indeed. My store has the same policy. No water bottles on us while we are working because of complaints. Like, who benefits from this? I started taking plenty of trips to the water fountain, which is allowed. Wastes time, but what else am I supposed to do when it's easy to get thirsty/dizzy from standing and walking around for hours at a time? What are they even complaining about? Bizarre. Same reason you can't sit down behind a register. Customers, especially old people, want to see you looking busy. They assume if you work in retail, it's because you're a good for nothing lazy failure, and look for anything to justify that. I had one older lady once tell me I was rude for apologizing. She was upset because I asked her if she had our store card, and then, because she didn't respond after a few moments, I asked her again in case she hadn't heard me. This was apparently rude, so I apologized. This warranted her snapping that I was very rude and I should just shut up. I completed the transaction in silence, feeling like shit, because it felt like I was so unworthy of respect I wasn't even allowed to speak, while she glared at me and muttered about how rude I was as she walked out the door. You can't win with some people. They just want to hate you. I'm a server. I had an older lady who didn't bother to open the menu herself ask me to list off the vegetables we offer as sides. I go baked potato, sweet potato, broccoli, veggie skewer, salads, and she puts her finger up at me and yells stop. So I stop and think, oh, she must think I was talking too fast. So I repeat myself, but slower this time. And she screeches stop. Stop talking. I look at her like what the actual fuck? And she goes, I said list the vegetables you offer. I repeat myself again. This time with a tiny bit of attitude. And she screams at me to stop again. Then she says potatoes aren't vegetables. I said list the vegetables. It took all of my willpower to not walk away from that table right then and there. I don't care if it would have gotten me in trouble. I would have laughed and told her that potatoes are vegetables. What an absolute moron. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.